In today's class, we are going to deal with Buddhism and its teachings. Now, as we were discussing in the previous class, that Jainism was quite an austere, a very rigid, and very minimalistic and a difficult to follow kind of religion, and Hinduism had also a lot of flaws which people did not like. So, the best alternative that people could find was Buddhism. And as you know, Buddhism was founded by Gautam Buddha, and it was like a midway solution to Hinduism and Jainism, and that is why it influenced a number of people who joined it. Now, again, we are not going to deal with the life of Buddha or his. We are straight away going to talk about his teachings. Now, in the previous, when we were doing Jainism, just try to keep an open mind and do a comparison. If you remember, Jainism talked about austerity, but we had said that Buddhism always talked about a middle path. So whatever knowledge we have about Buddhism, basically, that we get from their religious texts, the three Pitakas. If you remember, among the three Pitakas, one of the books was the Sutta Pitaka, which talked about the discourses, the teachings of Buddha and some of his disciples like Ananda. It talked about the Dhammapad or the path of truth. So most of the teachings of Buddha we have been able to reconstruct through the Sutta Pitaka. So when we are discussing the teachings, the first teaching or the most important thing are the Four Noble Truths. So Buddhism is based on four truths. The first truth says that there is suffering in the world, there are people who are sad. The second one says that there has to be a reason for this suffering. So this suffering has a cause. And what is the cause? So desire is the cause of this suffering. That means the reason we have so many desires, we wish for more and more, that is the cause for suffering. And then how do we get rid of the suffering? If we get rid of the desire, if we stop it, then the suffering can also be stopped. So these are the four truths of Buddhism. The world is full of suffering. There is a cause of suffering. The cause of suffering is desire. And if we stop the desire, we can get rid of the suffering. So how do we get rid of this suffering? And how do we get salvation or be free from the cycle of birth and rebirth and attain nirvana? So to attain nirvana, we have to follow the eightfold path of Buddhism. And what is this eightfold path? We will discuss one by one. Again, we are not doing this in sequence. I am trying to connect the dots so that it's easier for you to remember in the exam. So we are starting with right thought. So Buddhism believes that our thinking should be correct. We should remain away from rituals, sacrifices and such kind of evils. If our thought is correct, then our belief will also be correct. So we will have to give up our desire and our belief also has to be correct. If our thought and belief are correct, what we speak will also be correct. So we will have right speech. We will speak the truth and we will not think ill of others. We will always think good about other people. If our speech, belief, thought all are correct, naturally what we do, our actions will also be correct. So that will lead us to right action. So we will stay away from theft or violence or such kind of negative things and will not lead a life of luxury. However, and so if our actions are correct, we will make right efforts towards those actions. So that brings us to right effort. So we will try to work from freedom of sins. That means deliverance means freedom. We will try to free ourselves from our sins and we will work towards the welfare of other people. If our efforts are correct, our living is also correct. The way we live is also correct. And we will not be dishonest in dealing with others. So when we do all of this, our recollection, our experiences will be correct and we will only think of pious or holy things. And ultimately, it will lead to right meditation where we will concentrate only on good things and we will not delve into anything wrong. So these 8 things which I mentioned are the eightfold path or the Ashtangika Marg as we call it. Right thought, right belief, right speech, right action, right effort, right living, right recollection and right meditation. The eightfold path of Buddhism, which is helpful, which will help them to attain nirvana or to be free from the cycle of birth and rebirth. Both these Four Noble Truths and the eightfold path are very, very important for examination point of view. The third teaching is attitude towards God. Now Buddha, he believed that the entire universe is controlled by dharma or dhamma, which is the universal law which runs the entire system. So that means if we are truthful and if we are leading a religious life, that is the thing, that is the principle on which the entire universe is based. So he was basically silent over the existence of God. He neither said that there is God nor he denied that there is no God. and he did not defy God in any way. He was just silent over his existence. The fourth one is code of conduct. Since it was a very peaceful religion, it prescribed very good code of conduct and very basic ones which all religion almost command. It told its followers not to lie. Just like Jainism, it also said not to own or possess any property. It added not to consume any alcoholic drink. Any intoxicating drink should not be consumed in Buddhism. Again, since they are performing non-violence, the fourth conduct is not to commit any form of violence. And the last one, not to get involved in any form of corrupt activities or anything wrong. So that is the next one. Code of conduct, please remember 5 of them: not to lie, own property, consume alcoholic drink, commit violence, or indulge in any corrupt or any wrong practices. The next teaching of Buddhism is karma. So like Hinduism, Buddhism also believed in the theory of karma. As I told you, karma is action. So like Hinduism, Buddhism also believed that if our karma is good, then we will be free from the cycle of birth and rebirth and we will attain nirvana. However, if our karmas are evil, then we will probably get an inferior birth in the next life. So this is called the wheel of existence. That means this wheel defines what type of life we will get in our next birth depending on our karma in this birth. So like we said, karma is central to all the 3 religions: Hinduism, Buddhism and Jainism. So is salvation, though they are known by different names. So, and the next teaching is stress on morality. So Buddhism stressed to lead a very moral life, to lead a righteous life, and our action should be good. We should practice non-violence. We should lead a very moral life. These were the teachings given by Buddha. Next, we already have discussed nirvana. As you know that it is salvation or being free from the cycle of birth and rebirth. This can be attained by following the Eightfold Path. The next teaching of Buddhism is universal brotherhood. So this can be synonymous to equality. So Lord Buddha, like Mahavira, he believed in equality of all living beings, and he said that all of us, we should live in peace despite our differences on caste, creed, gender, any differences. We should live in peace, and he invited people from all castes and classes to join Buddhism. The next, remember in Hinduism there were a lot of sacrifices and rituals going on which made people dissatisfied. So naturally Buddhism opposed it, and that is why people liked it. So Buddhism had no faith in rituals and sacrifices, and Buddha believed that these yagyas, these sacrifices, they are useless. They cannot change a man's destiny. Nobody is going to get salvation by doing sacrifices and yagyas. So they are very empty ceremonies, and a person need not do it. The next teaching is ahimsa. Like Mahavira, Buddha also believed in ahimsa or non-violence, but please remember Jainism believed in very strict form of non-violence and extended it to living, non-living beings, to insects, plants, human beings, animals, all those things. But Buddha just preached non-violence. He did not specify or make it very, very strict. Thus, all these teachings that we discussed, these are the reason why Buddhism gained a lot more followers. You can see that it is much more liberal, and they give a lot of importance to conduct. It's just like a moral life, a moral science lesson. It's like a moral life which is expected of all the individuals to live, that we have to abide by it and we can lead a fruitful life. So that is why this importance which Buddhism gave to conduct, to a good conduct and value, rather than claiming superiority based on birth, or like in Hinduism we had superiority based on birth, all these things which people opposed was given in Buddhism. That is why it attracted a lot of followers, because it preached compassion or kindness for all young people, for the weak people, for everyone irrespective of their caste, creed, and that is why Buddhism attracted a lot of followers, and it was not very difficult to follow as well. It performed a middle path which people could easily imbibe. So you can mention that it was because of these qualities of Buddhism that it was able to garner a lot of followers. Which brings us to the last part of the chapter. We are excluding the rest of the chapter. Now we are only discussing the similarity and the differences between Jainism and Buddhism. So you can yourselves now discuss and understand the similarities. Firstly, both Buddha and Mahavira, they came from royal families. They both had Kshatriya, they belonged to Kshatriya clan. So Mahavira and Buddha, both of them, they belonged to Kshatriya clan. They were born in the family of kings. The second one, both of them, they talk about salvation or being free from the cycle of birth and rebirth. In Jainism, it is called moksha. In Buddhism, it is called nirvana. Like we said, both did not accept the superiority of Vedas, though they did not say anything about God, but they were against the Vedas or the rituals or the sacrifices. So both of them, they did not accept the Vedas. The fourth one, both of them they preached non-violence, though the form may be different, but both of them they preached non-violence. And lastly, in both the monks and the nuns who adopted Buddhism or Jainism, they were supposed to leave their family and live in monasteries, and they were also supposed to maintain chastity or lack of physical relationship. So these five, they were the similarities between Buddhism and Jainism. Please remember, both from royal Kshatriya families, both believed in salvation or freedom from cycle of birth and rebirth, both denied the authority of Vedas, in both non-violence was promoted, and in both the monks and nuns left their family life and left and followed and strongly believed in chastity. Whereas the last part, when we are talking about the difference, please remember that Buddhism was a completely new religion that was started in the 6th century BC. But as we discussed, Jainism had a concept of Tirthankaras or teachers, and there were 23 such Tirthankaras before Mahavira. So Jainism was not an entirely new religion. So that is the first difference. Buddhism, it was completely a new religion in 6th century BC, but Jainism had been found long ago before Mahavira, and Mahavira was the last of the Tirthankaras. Secondly, we have already discussed that Buddhism, it preached the middle path, whereas Jainism believed in a very strong, austere life and believed in hard penance. And lastly, since we have already discussed that Buddhism was more popular, so it spread far and wide and led to a cultural evolution in India. It culturally transformed and changed India altogether. But Jainism, like we discussed, had fewer followers, so Jainism could not spread beyond the Indian shores. So these are the difference and the similarities between Buddhism and Jainism. With this, we finish the chapter. I hope this chapter is clear to